What's up, Sir PB? This is going to be a little bit of a lengthy demo video for you because I've got three sabers. I've got your Rexus Starkiller from the first batch. I've got your Corbanth and Shadowfoil Props Luke V2. And then lastly, we've got this custom MHS and Canon Y saber. We'll go over the Raxus first. This is the first one that I got done for you. So you asked for a little bit of weathering. I did some weathering and some heat staining. Heat staining on all the steel and titanium parts. I forgot to ask. I assumed you wanted titanium in the crystal chamber, so that's what I went with. Let me know if I didn't get that right. But you got a real quartz crystal in there. I did give you a Taco Shop chassis add-on for the back of the main crystal chamber here. You've got a 2-button setup, so the front will be power, the back will be auxiliary. I like to make these a low profile tactile switch. All of these will have a Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connector in them. All right. Your sliding door slides down very easily for the secondary crystal chamber reveal. Now this particular saber has my own chassis that I designed when the saber was first designed by me. I came up with this eco chassis before this saber got manufactured, and I offered it for free on my website. But this is what I went with for yours. So you've got an OLED screen right here, your Proffies board up here with a kill switch right in front of it. Turn it over here, you have a 10-pixel accent strip, a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker, so that's fully enclosed. A secondary crystal chamber here that has its own quartz crystal in it as well. All right, so everything is on its own blade style. This just has my sound font on it, and there's a copy of the config file on the SD card, so you should be able to follow along with what I did there pretty easy. All right, so let's put a battery in this guy, snap it in, come over here and flip the kill switch. So you've got my boot up on the OLED screen. Both of your crystal chambers are doing a little something different. And then, of course, your accent strip right here. Okay, until we come over here and hit power. This will ramp up. Crystals went solid, but they do react to the auxiliary button being pressed. And then I just gave you a double crystal animation for your OLED screen. All right, you've got twist off there. We'll come over here and put this on. Tighten the handle all the way down tight, and when you do that, you'll line up your bars. You know, this bar in particular being right dead center of your crystal chamber, which lines up all the other ones. But hitting power. We got some nice shine through right here. Of course, some shine through right here. You can take it off if you want. I just like to slide it up and down and then put it back in place. I also like to use this for the blade retention. So we'll just back that up a little bit. Put a 7/8 inch blade in here. Might be a little bit of a tight fit, but it does go. We'll put that in there, lock it down, hit power. Lights up a blade, very nice. All right. Blade lock up. And then we'll take it out. So this one is working and doing what it's supposed to do. Tighten this back up real quick. Simply just flip the kill switch and take the battery out. You're pretty familiar with sabers. I just like to go over everything anyway. But when we turn it on, flip this off, it kills everything like it should. All right. Take it out from the positive side, which is over here by your speaker. So that is your Raxus. Everything's working well there. Put that off to the side. We'll go over your Luke V2, which is a really cool build. Just because this This crystal chamber cutout's very cool. You have a secondary grenade section in your box. If you prefer to have the one that does not have the cutout, you simply just swap it out, and I'll show you how to do that. All right. But firstly, how to get to your chassis is you just want to unscrew the pommel. The pommel is a two-piece, and I'll show you why here in a second. I just need to be careful taking it out. Let me put this off to the side. The pommel is a two-piece, so this comes out and this is separate. That allows you to put this on, and you can clock this however you like while you tighten this other piece down. This will stay wherever you want it to be. All right, so that's what's going on there. When you take that out, I tend to leave this loose. You can use this for a chassis retention if you like. I haven't found it necessary, but when you take the pommel off, you can just pull your chassis right out. All right, and then this is what this looks like. So of course I took the crystal chamber piece that came with the kit, I incorporated it into the chassis. First I took the inside crystal mount and crystal out of this main piece and locked it into the chassis. So the chassis has a stem that goes up into that crystal mount, locked that into place, and then moved this main piece down and locked that into place. So that's how I did that. All right, you've got a removable battery here, 28mm SO speaker here, and then the same type of kill switch in front of the board, but I always give you access to everything from right here, so you never have to lift up the board on my builds. All right, flipping it over here, you've got, of course, your power and auxiliary switch. This was a little bit of a weird setup. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this on camera. It's not going to show very well, but you know, the battery's right here, and the board is kind of off to the side instead of like traditionally we'd have it right on top of the battery. That was to fit everything in. So we'll throw a battery in here. It'll clip in, but before we turn it on, let me show you the grenade section real quick. So if you want to just take this off, you've got this piece right here. You can just simply, I've got this screwed on pretty tight, but you can take the top off, screw it onto the grenade piece that doesn't have the cutout, and you're good to go. It's that easy. This has a blade side PCB that I put in here, and that doesn't come out. All right, so put that on, lock it down tight. I've got the emitter piece on that allows for some extra blade depth. This is going to be the one that you'll want to use if you're going to fire the saber up. So we'll just put this back. Your switches are located under the clamp card. They're plungers. So you've got your front will be power, your back will be auxiliary. All right, so we'll come over here and we'll flip the kill switch again.
I came to this island to die.
This is Grumpy Uncle. I'm assuming that you have this one. I put it on here because this is one of my favorite Luke fonts. So you've got, hopefully you can tell on camera, but I do have each of your crystals wired individually, and they're each doing a little something separate. All right, so when you go to put this in, you're going to want to make sure that this groove, there's a groove right here. You're going to want to make sure that that groove is lined up to the top of your switch box. That groove is for the plungers that are inside the ID of the handle a little bit. All right, so they just ride right along those switches, or the plungers ride right along those grooves rather, and it only goes in one way. All right, so once you get that in, I kind of like to hold the crystal chamber. I'll come over here and I'll put my pommel on. I won't have this clocked correctly, but you can do it however you like. Tighten that down. Now you can see your crystal chamber reveal, and we have power. So still got one blinking on and off, and the other one's solid. Again, a CC Sabers connector in here. And then auxiliary back here. This one has several different blade retention screws. You've got 3. I'm not going to lock all those in. I'm just going to show you for now. I'll just hold a blade in here. Actually, we'll lock one of these down. Don't need to lock all 3 down, though, unless you're just going to go out in the backyard and get crazy, you know, but here. Lights up a blade very good. This is heavy. It's made out of steel. It has some really nice heft to it. Some good flash on clash. There's a blade off. All right, so we'll go ahead and take this out. Now again, this has a copy of the config file on the SD card, so you can see what I did there. And I labeled every blade style, whether it's blade, top crystal, or bottom crystal. I have each of those labeled for you. Okay, and then when we're done, we'll come over here and unscrew this again. Careful not to drop it. Slide the chassis straight out. Turn it on from here. And flip the kill switch. Now I opted not to go with a lit pixel connector up on top of the crystal chamber, because when I've done these sabers in the past, what tends to happen is there's just a little bit of light bleed in between the top of this chamber and this blade side PCB where they meet right here in the saber. So I didn't really care for that, and so I didn't want you to have that, and so I just went with a normal 7-pin connector on top of the crystal chamber. All right, so we're gonna put this back together, and that is your Luke V2. And then we will go over this guy right here. So this is you sent me the Canon Y flash unit, and you sent me a couple MHS parts. I had the pommel that you sent, this piece right here, and then the steel emitter. So what I did, starting at the very top and going down, I did take this main piece right here. I machined all of the threads off of the bottom of it, and I also machined up top here. I chopped the very top off on my lathe and made it flat instead of going to a point like this piece normally does. Made it flat, machined the diameter down just a little bit so that I could put this on, and I did JB weld this on. So this isn't going anywhere, but I made sure to do it very neatly, and it's nice and secure. All right, I did come through here and I drilled and tapped an 832 blade retention screw for you. I machined the sleeve that the Canon Y piece goes over. I machined that. I went through. I also milled out some slots where there was openings on the handle. If I can zoom in there. So I milled out those slots on the inside sleeve, and I put some little greeblies under there so they weren't so plain. Locked this in, and then instead of threading it to the sleeve, what I did was I came through and I utilized the 4 holes that were already in this Canon Y sleeve. I just drilled them and tapped them for 832 grub screws, and that's how this top piece is held on, with those 4 grub screws that you'll find evenly spaced around this piece right here. All right, and then I just painted this black. I milled it out a little bit so it had some depth, but then I went ahead and I painted it black. All right, now I thought the clamp card down here, or the clamp area, made for a very awkward switch setup, and I didn't want to do that. So instead, what I did when I was taking this Canon Y unit apart, I went ahead and I salvaged the red button that came with it. So this is the vintage red button. Made my own switch mechanism in here. This is a 1-button setup, but I feel like that red switch being right there is a lot easier to press. All right, so that's what I did there. I had this card right here. I don't have very many cards, but this is one that I had, so I went ahead and I put it in there. It's very easy though to swap out in the future. If you ever want, just push this and then slide it right out, and you can take it out. All right, and then when you want to put it back in, push this again, slide it in, and push it in. You will just have to cut to size whatever you want to replace that with, because I did just a little bit of cutting on that to make it fit. Now to get to your chassis, take off your pommel. So I left the threading on the pommel. I just cut it down a bit. All right, so this is the pommel right here. It had about twice as many threads on it. I cut those down, and I did that so I could get them out of my way on the sleeve. Pull this right out. This is your chassis. So same setup up top. Got your Proffies board. access to your SD card, your micro USB with a kill switch right in front of the board. You have a fully enclosed 28mm SO speaker, a removable battery, and I am using the Smoker's Outpost Switch Pixel PCB set. So this makes contact with, it's originally a 14-pin PCB, but in this case it's 13 because there's no auxiliary switch. All right, so you can see it right there. I have all the pins in there. We're just not using one of them. So come over here and put a battery in, spring side, right? Snap our battery in. Snaps in there nice and tough. Now this has my sound font on it also with a copy of the config file, but this saber being the most simple of the three for setups. It's a simple one button config. All right, so come over here and flip the switch. And you're going to get some really good sound out of this saber because it is fully enclosed. I made sure I put that speaker all the way back there. And then the pommel is wide open. You just take the chassis, you push it into the pommel all the way until it stops. Take your saber, throw it right in, screw it all the way down. Come over here and hit power. This is probably the loudest of all three. So your LEDs in there are firing up. You got some nice shine through here. Flash on flash. And then this is made for a 1-inch blade. All right, so I'm just going to hold the blade in there for now, fire it up. I'll show you that it does in fact light up the blade. If you want to play your soundtrack, do a double tap. All right, do another double tap to turn off. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to take the blade out of here. Come over here and take your pommel off. When you're taking the pommel out, the chassis might come with the pommel. You can just pull it out like that. Pull it out of here. We'll flip the kill switch to make sure it's in the off position, and then we'll take the battery out. All right, so pretty simple setup. I tried to make that easy to use. I hope that this looks okay for you. I spent most of the day on this guy trying to get it all lined up and in working order. So let me know if you have any questions on any of these three sabers, and if everything looks good to you. They'll go out together in the mail first thing Monday morning. All right, thanks, man.